Well, he haniwash day. I am Lafawn, and again, before I begin, I would like to apologize for speaking before my elders today. And to start, I'm going to introduce you to a woman named Karen, as I too have never met a baby Karen. Karen grew up in long-term foster care. She was raised in a middle-class neighborhood where every third fence was a white picket. And lucky her, she was with the same family for 16 years. Today we're going to look at just how lucky Karen was. Karen was born a ward of the state, as her mother was already a foster child herself. Her mother decided to go back to high school, and Karen went to her long-term foster home at 16 months old. From 16 months to 6 years old, unfortunately, Karen's mom didn't have much contact, and she had none from her father. And from 4 years old to 14 is what she remembers. She felt very forgotten, as many birthdays were passed, not even a happy birthday when she woke up in the morning. She was often told, "You are so pitiful. Look at you, you're so homely. You should be glad to be here because your real family didn't want you." You know what was really pitiful? Her Christmas presents. At 6 years old, her mom thought she could have another chance to get Karen back. After all, she was in a new marriage with a new child and enlisted in the military. Within 2 months of this new beginning, Karen woke to find her stepfather sexually assaulting her. So she went to run and look for her mom. Her mom was not home, and unfortunately, she had to wait on the cold hardwood floor underneath the table where she felt the chairs would protect her. Within a few days, her social worker flew down, hugged her, told her she was going to be safe, and flew her out of there. The following summer, her father, also in a new marriage with a new child, wanted to spend a couple weeks with Karen. She was out on the ranch playing on the hay bales with her new friend, and when she started to head in for dinner, right before they got to the house, they heard her father screaming, seemingly intoxicated, and her pretty new stepmom was crying. They stood outside for a couple hours. Eventually, when they heard him cock the shotgun, hand it to her stepmom, and nobody died that night. However, as traumatic as this was, she also had to hear them have sexual relations for the rest of the evening. So the next day, she ran away. She tried to hitchhike. Now remember, she's 7 years old. She tried to hitchhike the 75 miles back to her foster parents' home. And the lady she ran to instead gave her back to her dad. And that's when she started to pray. God was listening to Gashala, her ancestors, Jesus, as she was returned to her foster home within a couple days. During her elementary years, mind you, we all have children, 6 to 11 years old, she was the only child in her class that was of a different race. So the kids would spit at her because she was different, and they would run away from her on the playground because she was so ugly. And during these years, not many stepped up. However, she did have a physical education teacher, the janitor, and a principal who all made her feel like she was a little bit worthy, and it was enough to get her through. One day, a family member who had a little boy came over. He was 11, she was 9. He said, "Let's play house." So she was pretty excited. So she grabs her Barbie dolls, and unfortunately, it wasn't the house that she had thought it would be. He assaulted her, and she struggled enough, and he finally gave up, but not before he said, "Don't worry, you tell anyone, you're just the foster kid. They're never going to believe you." From the ages of 9, 10, and 11, Karen got to go to a camp. This is where she became culturally aware. She started to find an identity, and she felt empowered, and the camp counselors gave her lifelong lessons that stayed with her throughout her entire life. She started to exist. And also at 10 years old, Her aunt, whose bedroom was across the hall since she'd been 16 months old, started to use Karen's body for practice, and she would give her hickeys in inconspicuous areas. From 11 to 15 years old, Karen started to join athletics. She was more accepted by her peers, and her coaches were extremely supportive of her. She started to positively exist. And then she met a boy. He gave her enough attention, so she fell in love and eventually fell pregnant and also into depression as she realized her child was not going to have a father. So she goes through her pregnancy. Her uncle knocks on her door. "I'm having bad nightmares. Can I come sleep on your floor?" She lets him in, and instead he came to her bed and attempted to molest a young 16-year-old Karen. She went to her foster mother, she said, "Please don't tell. Forgive him." So she called a friend. Friend picked her up. Friend's mother gave Karen a safe place for the summer, and Karen had the baby that fall. Now fast forward to her senior year with child. Her social worker stepped in and said, "Okay, let's get you guys your own place." She taught her the life skills of being a young adult: car insurance, bills, college applications, and eventually her social worker and her outside network of support all got to watch Karen cross the stage and get her college degree. Now friends, this is all I'm going to share about Karen's life today. She's doing well, she's here, and she's continuously working on her healing. Do you think that I told you about Karen's story to show her survivorship? Absolutely. However, this is about the assaulters, the rapists, the aggressors, the saviors, the mentors, and the elders. And not only how did this happen to Karen, but how did this happen to our entire community? How did we get here? How did we go from a Tioshbaye working together on building strengths, values, and character to step-parents, parents, friends, and extended family assaulting, violating, and deserting one another? Our society let Karen down, and her mother. What about her father? He didn't just one day wake up an abuser and an alcoholic. The foster family, where was the value of Karen's life to them? Our baby boomers are dying. Our Gen Xers, millennials, and centennials all have an ethical and moral dilemma every day because of social media, sexting, texting, and lack of face-to-face conversation. Social media is a weapon of mass confusion and destruction of generational family values. Social media creates immediate access and an illusion of reality. Our kids are coming of age at 8, 9, and 10 on Twitter and Instagram when we used to come of age 5 years later in our teens. This sounds like a weapon of mass destruction on our familial values, familial structures that were created by the respect and the wisdom of our elders. Structures that would not have let the Karens down in the world. So let's talk about that thing called respect. People are dying for it. They're killing each other on the streets for it. You disrespected me, I'm going to kill you. Don't you talk about my mom. She's out. Don't ever talk to her again. She disrespected the family. Nowadays, this includes, she disrespected my Facebook page. She has a different stance than I do. She ain't my friend no more. Unfriend. Respect to tribal people encompasses this. Tribal people believe we are an integral part of nature, not wishing to control her vicissitudes, but wanting to live in harmony with her. We are powerless and seek pity from Wankantanka. When we are faced with famine, danger, and the unexplainable, we pray. Every object has a spirit, and that spirit is Wakan, which is sacred. The earth, the stones, the trees, the water, all have a spirit. The corn and the spirit never dies. Therefore, we give offerings to the spirits when what? When we need help, when we need guidance. We believe that we are born with the ancestral power of our ancestors from hundreds of years ago. The corn, the stones, the trees, the water, that is in all of our DNA. And for some reason, we are coming to a crossroads of traditions and respect to potentially nothing. Merriam-Webster says an elder is one of older age, someone who is born before you, an earlier time period, archaic. Just kidding. To us tribal people, our elders are not just retired and old. They actually never stop working for their family. They have wokshape, which is wisdom. Our elders teach us the steps of wisdom every day. And they say, go on that hunt, provide food and meat for your tioshpaye, and with this, you gain the wisdom of generosity. We'll go to a wake or a family function, and the unchis, the grandmas, will say, go serve in that serving line and make sure the elders and the babies are served first, the wakaija. The wakaija means the sacred little ones. These two generations come before everybody else because the wakaija are the key to the future and our elders are the key to our past. And us in the middle, we protect that. We put them first because we are the creators of that future and we are the protectors of the wisdom of the past. This is like real life time traveling. So with this, in the here and now, I'd like you to think about this. We, tribal people, our elders start teaching us at a young age, from the time we can start comprehension. Look up to your cousin, look what she's doing. And then when we start getting into those ages, they say, oh, look, your baby cousins are watching you. You better be mindful of your actions. This starts when you're born, when you are a wakaija. And you're always looking up to someone 1 year to 2 years to 50 years older than you. So it's every day that we begin our eldership, our path to being an elder. So to apply this to the here and now, 13-year-olds can be elders to 7 to 11, 12-year-olds. That 11-year-old didn't need to assault a 9-year-old Karen. What if he had an active bystander or another elder in his life? Those 13 to 16-year-olds, they can go start mowing grandma's yard for free. They can comb grandma's hair. They can play basketball. They can teach a new skill. How about those 18 to 21-year-olds? That 18-year-old aunt didn't need to give Karen hickeys, and that 21-year-old stepfather didn't need to make her a Me Too victim at the age of 6. This is where you take your nieces and nephews for a car ride, take them to practice, show up to their basketball games, check on your parents. How about those 25-year-olds? Think of all those younger ages below you that you can empower. This is where younger ages see you make decisions, stick to decisions, education if that's your path. And then those 35-year-olds, this is where the younger people see all of that work and those decisions that you made in your 20s start to pay off. That 35-year-old physical education teacher was there for Karen. Those 25-year-old camp counselors made an impact. The 50-year-olds, you're starting to come into the wokshape, your wisdom, or your woundspe. This is where you can start time traveling. Take your kids to your origins. Show them where you're from. Show them the traditions. It's good to talk about things, but showing is the key. You could be that social worker that helped save a forgotten child named Karen, or that mother who gave her a safe place during the summer. So I want you guys to remember this. You can be tribal because we are a tribe. Every day we have the power to tell our peers and the youth the positive actions that they can take to create pivotal moments starting today for our society. And I'm going to leave you with this.